And here's the good news is all of your builders, your managers, everybody in your upline, we've already experienced all this stuff. So it's not this, I guess you could say, maybe you might relate to one of these. You might relate to one of these right now, but it's good to know all seven. And I'm sure that there's probably 100, but these, in my opinion, are probably more of the top seven, in my opinion. And again, I want to hear you guys on the chat like, yes, girl, preach. I hear you on that one. Okay. So the first one is this delusional dreaming without execution. You ever get that? So, for example, here's the challenge dreaming without action creates a false sense of achievement. I repeat that. Dreaming without action creates a false sense of achievement. In other words, if you attach delusional dreaming, where your work ethic absolutely does not align with the dreams, the goals, the mission that you have for yourself, your work ethic doesn't align to it whatsoever. So, what are some things that you might do that might be delusional dreaming? Well, for example, I'm going to go ahead and hire 30 people this month. I'm not saying you can't do it. You've never done it yet. Can you show me that you can hire one? Right? Can you show me that you can hire one? Then we can start talking about the third and the sixth agent. I'm all about big dreams. But until somebody has the standards, the principles, the values, the identity that increases their capacity without the work ethic behind it, no. Now you just have a false sense of achievement. And guess who you're really upsetting? Yourself. This is where, when your work ethic doesn't align with your dreaming and it becomes delusional, right? What starts to happen is you start lowering your self respect. You start lowering your self confidence because you start beating yourself up. Why? Because you had this unattainable goal that you set out for yourself and there was no work attached to it. There was no strategy. There is no way that you can even align with it because you didn't even have a strategy with it. And the simplest thing is the action behind it. So, what's the action that we can take when it comes to delusional dreaming with? So let's take off the delusional. Let's take dreaming with execution, shall we? So what's the action step? Make your goals measurable. Have metrics around it. I think that complexity is easy, simplicity is hard. We make our strategies so difficult because we're so afraid to just write it out what we're trying to think. If you will just understand the metrics behind, if I want to hit a promotion, make it measurable. Okay, well, if you want to hit sales manager, district sales manager, you got to have 5 agents on your team that are producing typically 5,000 net per month. So if you know the metrics on that, then you're a lot more simpler, in my opinion, to lay out the game plan. Now we just got to make sure your work ethic is attached to it. So you're after the 5, you're after those agents, but what's it going to take? Probably about you hiring maybe 10. Half of them might stick. Make sense? But it depends on what market you're going through. If you're hiring, let's say, going from cold market, you're going to have to go through 50 interviews. So understand the strategy behind it. And then, of course, that daily execution of it. Does your work ethic match what it will take for you to achieve your dreams? Does it? Like, genuinely, does it? Okay. Here's number 2. Ready? Number 2. So number 1 was delusional dreaming without execution. Number 2, when it comes to a growth blocker, number 2 is derailing focus and losing direction. Okay. I think everybody, especially builders right now, they can understand if you've been building for a while, you might have experienced this growth blocker. In other words, you have this goal, you have this strategy, but then guess what happens? Something, some distraction derails you. And then what does it do? You start losing direction. So, in other words, you start having inconsistent action. And what that does is it breeds mediocre results. Okay. So, if we're looking at derailing focus, you've got to understand what your triggers are that derail your focus. Maybe it could be a family member. Maybe it could be a spouse that is not supporting you. Maybe it could be that you hired a problem agent that you thought was going to be this incredible agent, And guess what happens? Because you hired that agent, that makes you not want to hire other agents because of the actions of this bad agent, right? And so what do? You start losing focus. And then if you don't get back to the alignment, if you're not plugged in to your direct manager for just help, how should I respond to this? I think it's such an incredible thing that when we lose sight of priorities, it's going to lead to inefficiency. We already know that. So the action behind that is you need to create and stick to a disciplined regiment where you can actually ask for help, but then also understand this. Make sure that your daily routine is one that it's over and over and over, and you do it over and over and over again. So, in other words, it's not just, yay, I hired my first agent. This is great. I'm so excited about life. And then they become a problem agent, let's say, maybe a red flag agent. You start derailing your focus. If you did not adhere nor to the disciplines of your daily habit, no wonder you've gotten off focus. See, when you're used to being accustomed to doing 10 interviews, maybe 15 interviews a week, it doesn't matter about that problem agent that you hired because you're still what? You're still going. You're keeping that wheel of momentum going, regardless of this agent's actions. I think so many new builders, they have this idea that every single agent they hire is going to be just like them. No, it's not. It's the 80-20 rule. And we understand that 20% of your business will do 80% of the work. 80% of your business will do 20% of the work. And that is a typical traditional business. Accept feedback. I think that sometimes when people start derailing focus and they start falling off track, it's because they're not willing to accept feedback. They're not willing just to simply ask their coach with humility, help me. I'm lost right now. I am completely off my path and I don't know how to get back on path. Help me. I mean, you guys, it could be so many different things. Maybe potentially, what do you feel like are some things that derail your focus? Maybe it could be your health. Maybe you get sick. Y'all, I've had this I guess probably most everybody right now. It's like this muck, and I was on an antibiotic for a week and a half, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but I still just feel a little bit of grogginess because I had a sinus infection. But is it your health that derails you? But remember, when you can stick to that daily routine, even through you not feeling well, even through you not wanting to go and make this interview. Hey, I can't tell you how many interviews I've done where I was coughing through it. Okay. And I'm not saying, look, man, if you feel so bad that it's like flu straight up, yo, you do need to rest. You do need to go to sleep. Okay. But you should be self-aware enough that, hey, I need to get back on path. I need to inch back. And I think so many people think that when you've gotten off path so much, you just think one hop is going to get you back on path. No, it's not. Because what got you here is going to take you a wee bit to get back to alignment there. Why? Because we got to go through what? So many things as far as when it comes to your daily habits, your action items, your mindset. But the cool thing is that when you just go off like this is normal, by the way. Many people do this. I mean, I feel like this is like my whole entire journey of NASB has been like this. And then I'll ask Jordan and Greg, hey, how should I respond to this? And whatever they say, I do it. However I should feel, I do and perform at that feeling. Should I be upset with this, Greg? Should I be frustrated with this? Jordan, just tell me how I should feel in this moment right now. How should I respond in this moment? The number one question every new builder, every student, every leader should be asking a leader above them, someone that knows more than them. They've already walked the walk that you're walking currently right now, is simply just saying, how should I respond in this moment? How should I respond in this moment? Number 3. So again, number 1 is delusional dreaming without execution. Number 2 is derailing focus and losing direction. Number 3, when it comes to a growth blocker, the common mistakes that new builders make: failure to launch your agent. Failure to launch your agent. You're so gung-ho about the results that somebody will get when it comes to being a leader and a builder that you absolutely forget that it's going to take work. And so you get into this paralysis over progression mindset where you're paralyzed because you're so afraid of doing something wrong. You're so afraid of saying something wrong. You're so afraid of doing the in and up wrong. You're so afraid of, gosh, investing in this agent. And you're so afraid of maybe, gosh, I hope I do it right. And I hope I say it right. And what if I mess up? So then you don't take the in and up. You don't field train your agents. And what do? You allow somebody else to do it. Failure to launch. Is it because of your fear of imperfection? Is that why? That you feel like you've got to be perfect when it comes to building? No, you will not be. Matter of fact, I don't think that there's any leader that's ever felt like, yep, not that they wanted to be perfect at it. They do want to be great at it. But I feel like sometimes the imperfect moments is what makes it great. And you can laugh about it together. So that fear of imperfection or that fear of failure, it delays your critical action from gaining proper feedback from your direct manager of what? Again, almost going back to that number 2, just simply ask, how should I respond to this moment? The struggle to stay committed and consistent, it's real. For example, check this out. It's like working out. If you can make a decision to get up and work out, this is why I feel it's so important when it comes to your daily routine. You better put it on your calendar, just like what I have on my calendar. It's the first widget on my screen currently right now. And you can see all the things that I've got to do today. So for example, bam, you can see everything that I'm going to do. The first thing, gym, get her done, Ashley. And then next at 6:15, quality time with the children before they go off to school. Bam. And then I've got the emerging leader Zoom. But before that, if it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday, guess what I'd be doing? I'd be reading, devotional, maybe an insurance article, so I can become continuing education when it comes to being an expert. Failure to launch your agent. It's imperative for you absolutely to take ownership in that. So when you work out and you make the decision to get up and work out, what you do is you start seeing a physical appearance that, wow, it's actually working. You get improvement. You have more energy. You look better. Now, if we connect working out to business, imagine this. If we can get up and work out, which was a choice we made, we did it. We fought through the pain of getting up and getting it done. Imagine if you connected the dots and you showed up consistently when it came to doing the things that were necessary to launch your agent effectively. Imagine the improvement you're going to make as a leader, the improvement of your business if you just show up. Take the in and up call. It's your first time. Holy cow, we get it. All you got to do is just call your direct manager and say, hey, did I do it correctly? Is this the right one? Embrace that progress over perfection mindset. Flip it. Flip that coin. Okay? What you're looking for is progress. On one side of the coin, there's perfection. On one side of the coin, there's progress. Which side do you think is the one that's going to lead you to improvement? Commit to just that one action daily of what you can do to help your agent. And don't get so upset with your direct manager when they say, dude, you absolutely need to take that in and up. You absolutely need to go do that field training. You need to go do that shadow ride along. You need to go do that preliminary interview. You are ready to do that second interview Zoom with your what? With that prospective hire. You can do that. Now, number 4. So again, we got number 1 is delusional dream without execution. Number 2 is derailing focus and losing direction. Number 3 is failure to launch. And number 4, because we got these 7 growth blockers, ego over connection. In other words, a growth blocker is your arrogance. I'm okay with it. But when I guess I don't like the word saying derailing, but if it's ego over connection and you start disengaging from leadership and you start disengaging from your culture of your team because of your ego, you're going to start having some not so happy agents that don't want to be on your team because you're so prideful. Arrogance or independence, what that does is that the moment you cut from the vine, the moment you cut from the branch from its rooted tree, it isolates you from the resources and mentorship. That's exactly what it does. When you start isolating yourself, not getting any feedback, not getting any coaching, not doing anything when it comes to events with your team because you're just, nope, they need to do it this way. And if they don't, well, then no, we're not doing this. In other words, this arrogance aspect, failing to engage with your team's culture. I do see that. For example, I see some group threads of managers. I can't even tell you the last time they physically messaged a message, unless it was, you need to do this. You need to do this. Wow. Doesn't make somebody really feel like they're a part of a team when all the leader is thinking about is what? Their own results. Them, right? Ego over connection. So what do we do about that? Well, understand that pride before the fall. Pride before the fall. I can't tell you how many times Greg Baden, George Smith have told me that this is just part of that person's identity, Ashley. And if they're not open to feedback, if they're not open to listening on how they can become more humble versus egotistical and self-righteous, you just gotta let them fall, Ash. But make sure that if you're the upline, that you continue building those relationships with those agents. You keep, if you are that upline and you're seeing that and you're seeing it happen, you keep connecting to those agents. Because don't forget that you've got a whole upline here that wants to what? Engage and make your agents feel like absolutely they're appreciated, that they're loved, that they matter, that their voice matters. And you know what? The crazy thing? Thank God for the upline manager that does that. So that this manager that is suffering from their pride, that once they get back on track, they should have hopefully the humility to sit there and tell the direct manager, hey, thanks for helping my team out when I was going through all that stuff. Now, upline managers never expect that to ever happen. Sometimes it does happen though. We don't expect it though. I never expect an apology. I never expect a thank you, even though my human flesh will literally fight me with it when you do so much great and you don't get a thank you. Oh, or you do so much of that person's pride. They just can't apologize. Typically, I'll be the first to apologize. It's okay, right? Forgiven, it's all right. Number 5, deflecting responsibility. Deflecting responsibility. A growth blocker is when you will deflect responsibility and you think it's not your job to invest in your team. You think it's not your job to do the things that are necessary. So you keep asking your direct manager, hey, can you go ahead and provide leads for my agent? Hey, could you go ahead and pay for that dinner? Could you go ahead and pay for this incentive? Hey, can you go ahead and I need you to come here and I need you to do this. Deflecting responsibility. The moment you stop taking ownership is the moment you stop growing. I remember Ed Milet said that when you take full ownership, do you have any idea the freedom in that? The freedom of being able just to say, yeah, that was my fault. I'm really sorry about that. Like genuinely, especially if it is your fault, being the first to say it is. Thinking it's not your job to train, equip, and develop your agents. The action of that, how do you actually take on responsibility? Again, if you don't know if it is your responsibility, just simply ask. I think that's the simplest way to do it. Just simply ask. Here's a good one. Number 6. Oh gosh, they just get so much better. Like the number 6 and number 7. Oh my goodness. And let me hear you guys. Like, what is it that you guys are tapping into that it's just like, dude, this is awesome. I love this. Okay. Because again, we've got delusional dreaming without execution, derailing focus, losing direction, failure to launch. Maybe you're operating out of paralysis because you're too scared to take on something. Number 4 is ego over connection. Number 5 is deflecting responsibility. Number 6 is this. Oh my gosh, it's so good. You ready for this? It's hiring easy. Hiring easy is such a growth blocker for you. You have no idea. Now, I get it. When you start to build, you're just so excited about somebody that wants to get on your team. And that somebody might just want to work 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week. And you're like, yes, come on my team. This is so exciting. And you treated it like a straight up, I don't like even, probably even treated it, I don't like saying the word like a Mary Kay business because maybe Mary Kay would probably elevate their standard and not hire that person, right? But you're hiring easy. When you hire easy, that equals hiring problems. That's exactly what you're doing. And then these builders that get frustrated because of the lack of results that they're not receiving when it comes to their team performance. And then they blame the city, they blame their coach, they blame the system, they blame the lack of resources versus you hired that individual, right? You hired them, especially when potentially, hey, could I get a second opinion on this individual before I hire them? You should be doing that. If you're a new builder and you've never done a proper interview or the proper interview process, um, I was just talking to a manager the other day and they're like, man, I don't understand why in the world this agent ghosted and I just hired them. I said, did you do a shadow ride along? Did you get them in the car? Did you see them on Zoom so you could actually, it's not about seeing what they look like, it's seeing how they respond to you. That's the difference. When I ask somebody and I give them a test on the second interview and I say, please dress business casual, come prepared with questions about the research that you've done on the culture of our organization or our agency. Okay? Amazing that you can learn so much from the questions that people ask you. And also, you can learn a lot because if that person shows up and they're not dressed business casual, when I told them to, that was just a test. That was a test. Can you show up on time to a Zoom or did you forget? This is why I love that Zoom versus meeting them in person because I could do a 30-minute Zoom as a second interview versus an hour and a half meeting somebody. Sure, if you want to do a shadow ride along, absolutely. You're not disrupting your day. You're not taking an hour and a half from your day to sit down with somebody over coffee. Get them in the car. You do your 9 to 5. Come on, shadow me. Let's go. Hiring easy equals hiring problem agents. So what's the action item on that? I've always been taught from the day I started building, hire at your ambition level and above. Hire the hard. If you look at a coin, one side says easy, one side says hard. When you flip it, what side are you taking? You choose the side that you want to work with. If you hire easy, your life as a builder will be hard. If you're hiring the hard, your life and your journey as a builder will be easy. Legit. There is nothing greater than hiring somebody that is coachable, has wins from their past, that, man, they just level up the way that their posture is. There's something in that when you can feel the grit coming out of the person's words. You can feel that. And then they back it up with work ethic, their integrity. There's something about that. Makes you feel good working with somebody like that, right? And then the last one is this: becoming the bottleneck of your team. What does that mean? The seventh growth blocker is you becoming the bottleneck of your team. In other words, if you've never done 7,000 AP in a week, 10,000 AP in a week, congratulations. You're showing your team what's not possible. When you're not doing 10 to 15 presentations, when you're not doing the system, you're bottlenecking your entire team's growth because your team is looking to you to show them the way. And what are you doing? You're just operating out of mediocre. You're operating out of average. You're operating out of casual. You're operating out of comfort. And no wonder your team does 2,000 AP a week. Or if you have a team of, let's say, 6 agents and all together, all of them are doing only maybe 10,000 AP for the whole week. You're bottlenecking it. You're micromanaging potentially. So if you're bottlenecking, maybe it's just I don't think you're afraid. I just think maybe there could be something there that maybe that's why you're afraid. But again, this is where that relationship with your direct manager and maybe even their direct manager too. Like I have a lot of chats where it's, a few managers and it's just a builder chat. That's all it is for this new builder, like an Andrew Worley. Hey, this is every day she's messaging in there. No wonder she's experiencing growth, right? And so you look at these things, identify, gosh, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I remember telling an agent just 2 days ago, I said, you got an agent coming on board. I need you to do 10,000 AP this week. This week, I need you to do 10,000 AP. You're way too close. Don't stop. Because what you're doing is you're showing what's possible. Check this out. If you're a manager and you've never done 5 presentations with a new agent, especially in field training, you're bottlenecking them. You are absolutely bottlenecking them. First day field training, you better show them 4 to 5 presentations. I don't care if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. You don't have an end time. And you tell your agent that this is field training. This is hell week. This is going to be a hard week on you. But if you just stop at 2 presentations and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, hey, let's just go get some coffee. Let's go back over that presentation again, shall we? Versus we're going to another one. We're going to another one. We're going to another one. You're increasing their capacity. You're increasing the tolerance of what your nucleus of a team is able to what? To endure. Show them what it looks like to grow to here. Because then guess what? That's what they're going to be used to. When they step into your team's culture, what does it look like? What does it look like? Is it just average? Is it mediocre? Is it below average? Maybe potentially you're that manager that's below average. What are we going to do to buck it up? And the simplest thing, it starts with your activity. It starts with your belief. It starts with that relationship with your direct manager. And you're like, what do I do? What do I say? When I'm field training, go do 5 presentations. There's nothing, in my opinion, that can spark somebody's momentum than a brand new agent that sees their manager do 5 presentations in a day and bam, yields 2,000 AP or doesn't. Eric and Rihanna, they did what, 5 presentations last Monday, 0 after 0 after 0 after 0. But you're telling me that what they learned from that, what they grew from that, phenomenal. So that, folks, is your 7 growth blockers when it comes to building. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go ahead and tap into that national regional call. Y'all take care. Let's go.